Good morning. I'm Reverend Theresa Soto. I'm the lead minister here at the First Unitarian Church of Oakland. Welcome to online Sunday worship. Today we ask that you please turn your video off while we light the chalice and Black Lives Matter candle. This will allow people to see the words on the screen and allow them to follow along. We also recommend that you have the most updated version of Zoom on your computer, so please make certain of that. And please note that we're recording the service. So if you don't want to be in the recording that we'll later post to YouTube, please keep your camera turned off. Welcome.
I would like to second Reverend Soto's good morning. My name is Stan Wright. On behalf of Pastor Theresa Soto, worship producer Vincent Rains, Stefan Schneider, and others on the worship team, welcome to worship services with the First Unitarian Church of Oakland. We are an intentionally multi-generational, multiracial, multicultural, inclusive, and anti-oppressive religious community. You are welcome here. We invite you to fill out the guest connection card you'll see in the chat. We want to be able to support your exploration of what's available in our community that interests you and how you might participate. Welcome. Before we begin our worship service, I think Pastor Theresa is going to give us a few reminders.
Yes. So today at 11:30, we'll have a meeting to talk about reopening. This is for people whose last name starts with M through Z, or if you know you're not going to be able to make it next week, please do join us. It'll be really quick, but I want to give you clarity of that update. Tuesdays through April, 11 a.m., 1000 Freedom Action calls. So if you need information on that, it will be in the Chalice Chatter. And it is especially an invitation to join congregants Amy Carlson and Claudine Tung, who have been meeting for half an hour every Tuesday to make phone calls to free people from ICE detention. So join at 11 a.m. any or all of those Tuesdays in April. And Claudine and Amy will be there for you with a centering experience and lots of encouragement. And on Thursday, April 15th, 7:30, everything you wanted to know about UU, but were afraid to ask, with Interim Director of Religious Education, Alex Hayter-Winnett. And a quick reminder, you're especially invited to my installation as our lead minister. And that will be April 25th at 4 p.m. on Zoom. It's especially important that you sign up because if you're in the Bay Area, we want to be able to give you a treat box. And it will have stuff in it that goes with the ceremony. Those are the reminders. And I'd like to just make sure that you pay attention to Thursday, April 15th, 7:30, everything you ever wanted to know. Let's go ahead and light the chalice and Black Lives Matter candle now. And we'll begin with the chalice. We light this chalice today, symbol of Unitarian Universalism, in part a celebration of COVID-19 vaccines that bring us closer together to being in person, closer to being together in person. And we commit to health and safety for everyone, leaving no one behind. And the Black Lives Matter candle. We light this candle in recognition of the Black Lives Matter movement and in recognition of the systemic racism that tries to deny the full humanity of Black people. And we commit to dismantling it with daily action. We begin today with a reading, and I invite you to listen for the way becoming speaks to you as an idea. What is becoming? To begin to be, to begin to dream new futures, dreams of love, dreams of justice, and everyone beloved and belonging. And the way of this becoming is loneliness becomes grief. Grief becomes rage. Grief becomes tenderness. Of all the things we may become, let one of them be more loving. That's still really awesome, even on video, huh? Well, now's the time we're going to go ahead and unmute and say hello to one another. So please go ahead and do that now.
Hello.
Morning, everybody.
Morning.
Good
morning.
Morning,
Hi,
everyone.
everybody.
Hi. Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
Hola. Hola.
Morning,
Hola.
Judith.
Hello, everyone.
Hi, Jane.
Hi. Hey,
Emily.
Emily.
That's
Hi,
Sherry.
Carol.
Good morning.
Mary and Debbie.
Oh,
Look at the baby. Hi, baby.
Baby,
hi, Marcy.
Hi, good morning, Judith.
Hi,
Good
Marcy.
morning,
Hey,
Marcy.
Kevin.
Cool.
Good morning,
Hi,
Janet.
Linda.
Hi, Marcy.
Hi.
Good morning.
Hey, Marcy.
Good
Who's on
morning.
page
Thanks,
2?
MJ.
Good morning.
Good morning, Mary.
Alex.
Good morning,
Hello,
Dave.
Barbara.
Hearing my voice.
Hi, Mary.
Hi, Piper.
So many wonderful
Hi,
faces.
Mary.
Good morning.
Hi, Debbie.
Hey, Linda.
Lucia.
Hello, Judith.
Hello.
Morning, everyone.
Morning.
Morning. Great. Well, if we could go ahead and mute our microphones again.
Well, that was a little bit of fun.
I'm going to go ahead and tell you a story today about Kuan Yin. You've heard of her before, I bet. She is a goddess of compassion. She comes to the Buddhist tradition through India and then China and then Japan. And we're going to watch this video now, and then I'll tell you a little bit more about the story. You ready? Okay. Really beautiful, huh? It's a special dance where everyone has to line up. So it looks like many, many hands. Let's talk a little bit about Kuan Yin herself. Kuan Yin's story showed up in Buddhism, especially at a time when political leaders were trying to tell people not to practice Buddhism. And so some of the stories about Kuan Yin are about her struggle and her kindness. In the story, her name is Miao Shan. And according to one story, the king asked his daughter Miao Shan to marry a wealthy man. And she said, no, I don't want to do that. Unless you can solve 3 problems with this marriage, I don't want to do it. And he said, okay, daughter, what are the 3 problems? And she said, well, the first problem this marriage should solve is the suffering that people experience as they age. He said, okay, well, what's the second problem? She said, the second problem is the marriage should solve the problem of suffering people experience when they get sick. My father said, all right, well, what's the third problem? And she said, well, it should ease the suffering that people experience through death. If the marriage can't solve these problems, I don't really want it. And my father said, goodness, daughter, who can solve all these problems? And she said, well, a doctor could solve these problems. But the king got angry because he wanted his daughter to marry someone rich, not a healer. So he got mad at her for a while and argued for a while. But then he said, your punishment is going to be hard work and less water and less rice because you're not going to marry the man I want you to marry. But she said, every day she said this to her dad. She said, I could be a nun. That would be fine. I could go live a religious life and be out of your way. And finally, he said yes one day. Okay, go live at the temple and do work there. But he told the monks, she can only do the hard jobs. It was a pretty rough time. But you know what? Kuan Yin never stopped helping others. And she never stopped being kind. So at the temple, she was so kind that the story goes that the animals came and helped her with her chores. Another story is that she promised never to rest until every living being was freed from suffering. And she worked very hard, like the other story said, worked very hard all her life. And then she realized, nope, there are still plenty of people suffering. So I'm going to stay and I'm going to help. And she thought about it so hard that her brain broke into 11 pieces. And the story says that Amitabha Buddha, seeing her struggle, gave her 11 heads for her 11 brains. Then she could hear all the cries of all the creatures in the world that needed help. But in the end, Amitabha ended up giving her more arms so she could do more work. So that's the story behind the dancer with all those arms. She's indicating help for the world. And we can be that help as well. And we're going to talk about that some more today. What does it mean to be compassionate and helpful when lots of people are sick, lots of people are struggling, and lots of people need help? And there we go. That's what I wanted us to talk about today. So let's keep thinking about that. How can we be helpful? And now I'm grateful to have Dan Wright join us with a reading. Thanks, Dan.
For more than 1 billion Muslims worldwide, the rituals of Ramadan are neither fixed nor uniform across countries, cities, or even across families. The holiday, celebrated over 29 or 30 days according to when the new crescent moon is visible in the night sky, can be characterized by the fluidity of its traditions across a diverse worldwide Muslim community. For most, Ramadan is a time for fasting from sun up to sundown, a practice of restraint, prayer, and self-reflection. For others, it's an opportunity to show charity and compassion toward humanity. And for some, it's a time for family and togetherness over a hearty meal called an iftar once the sun sets. It can also be a time to educate unfamiliar friends and coworkers about the month's customs and fielding the standard questions. Not even water? Poet Kazim Ali thinks the fluidity of traditions as an important part of understanding Ramadan. Some Muslims, he points out, don't celebrate at all. It's not like it's solely about this thing that we can then explain, Ali said. It's many things to many people. Ali was born in the United Kingdom to Muslim parents of Indian, Iranian, and Egyptian descent. He received a BA and MA from the University of Albany State University of New York and an MFA from New York University. His work often explores the singular bond between faith and daily life. In his poem, Ramadan, Ali examines a night in the third week of Ramadan, Laylat al-Qadr, meaning night of power or majesty, which is believed to be the night the angel Gabriel first recited the Quran to the Prophet Muhammad. According to tradition, Ali said, it's not known for sure which night the recitation occurred. So many Muslims celebrate on the 19th, the 21st, and the 23rd, the odd-numbered dates of the last 10 days of the month. We take in Ali's work this morning as a blessing, not becoming experts, but rather appreciating things of importance to those in our community. Ali's poem plays with the uncertainty of the evening within a moment of quiet reflection. So here is Ramadan by Kazim Ali. You wanted to be so hungry you would break into branches and have to choose between the starving month's 19th, 21st, and 23rd evenings. The liturgy begins to echo itself. And why does it matter? If the groundwater is too scarce, one can stretch nets into the air and harvest the fog. Hunger opens you to illiteracy. Thirst makes clear the starving pattern. The thick night is so quiet the spinning spider pauses. The angel stops whispering for a moment. The secret night could already be over. You will have to listen very carefully. You are never going to know which night's mouth is sacredly reciting and which night's recitation is secretly mere wind.
Alex has something special to share with us. So he'll do that just now.
Hi, community. So on Friday, I met with the Ministerial Fellowship community of the Unitarian Universalist Association, and they welcomed me into preliminary fellowship as
They did.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Alex.
All right,
Wow.
congratulations.
Yay.
as the congregation that has sponsored.
We're not surprised.
Well, thank you. Thank you. But as the congregation who has sponsored me and held me in care, I really want to thank you all for your years of support, emotionally, financially, spiritually, as we've gone through this process. And I cannot wait to celebrate with all of you as we work towards my ordination and many years of relationship and ministry. So thank you very much.
A standing ovation.
Beautiful.
This is my
Yeah.
interpretation of standing ovation.
That's right. Thank you, Alex, and thank you, everyone, for sharing that joy. It's really good, huh? Let's go ahead and take an easy breath or two. We'll transition to a reflection that I have for you. I hope you ate your breakfast. I hope you're ready. All right. Will you join me for just a moment in a spirit of prayer or meditation? I am so grateful as we come to this day. Grateful for our good news, grateful for our challenges, grateful for our possibilities. I pray that this word would land as an abundance, as a possibility. For all these things, I give thanks and say, amen. I saw a headline, so I had to go after it. It said, 11 stories of transformation you will not believe. You ready for the first one? It goes like this. After the seed was planted, the farmer was sure to dig it up several times a day, analyze its progress, perform a hygiene routine, and ensure that it was making progress in its transformation toward becoming a thriving plant. Is that how that works? No, don't dig up the seed. All right, listen to this one. The human leaders gathered in their organizations and governments to decide how to grow and transform. Each of the leaders in each of these places created customized plans that people could follow who waited their turns for instructions they could comply with. Upon following precise directions from the top, the transformation was successful. Maybe not, right? Leaning into what the future ahead is about will require what we know and already understand, certainly. Yes. And it is also about what we will become. We've talked about this a little bit, but we'll talk about it again because it's something that requires practice. One of the most complicated things about our human experience is the way our minds mix together the past and the present. In other words, our brains tell us, well, if it happened that way before, that's how it will happen again. And the facts from the past become the facts for the future, except the future has nothing in it. This sounds a little like the voice in your head that says, I already know what that person is going to say. And I already know what they say, what it will mean. You already know what your day will be like, already know about how someone will be annoying or inconsiderate. The facts from the past get substituted from the facts for the future. And while in some way this may be self-protective, it robs you of the richness of what's actually unfolding in front of you, of the incredible beauty of living in the moment. And about that moment, the first sentence of Franz Kafka's novel Metamorphosis is this. Kafka, a white-speaking German-Czech novelist, wrote, I said that all scrambled up. I'm going to start again. Kafka, a white German-speaking Czech novelist, wrote, as Gregor Samsa awoke one morning from uneasy dreams, He found himself transformed in bed into an enormous insect. In literature, transformation from human to animal or insect is much more common than the other way around. Maybe it's that way in life as well. Becoming human is a much harder prospect. Today, the invitation I will extend to you is even a little larger than that. I invite you to use this time of transition to become an embodiment of love. Be love's body. Become love's hands. If that doesn't suit you, become the voice box of love. Become a secretary of love and write emails on love's behalf. Becoming the beloved means letting the truth of our belovedness become enfleshed in everything we think, say, or do. Henri Nouwen taught. And this kind of belief, it's something you're familiar with. This kind of being love is something you already do. You're committed to loving others and you show that in your actions, even if the reminder is actually to keep at it and build your skills and level up your game. Nouwen also encourages us to develop another facet of belovedness. Belovedness for ourselves. Nouwen says, over the years, I have come to realize that the greatest trap in our life is not success, popularity, or power, but self-rejection. Success, popularity, and power can indeed present a great temptation, but their seductive quality often comes from the way they are part of a much larger temptation to self-rejection. When we have come to believe in the voices that call us worthless and unlovable, then success, popularity, and power are easily perceived as attractive solutions. The real trap, however, is self-rejection. As soon as someone accuses me or criticizes me, as soon as I am rejected, left alone, or abandoned, I find myself thinking, well, that proves once again that I'm a nobody. My dark side says I'm no good. I deserve to be pushed aside, forgotten, rejected, and abandoned. Self-rejection is the greatest enemy of the spiritual life because it contradicts the sacred voice that calls us beloved. Whether you believe that's God as a person, whether you believe that's a reflection of one another in community, whether you believe that's what you understand about yourself, that sacred voice is calling you beloved. And belovedness is the core of our existence. We will continue to become as a community. We will become more just. We will become more multicultural. We will even become loud and joyful together again. But we must always consider that one of our active tasks as a community bound by covenant is to become reliable at saying and doing the truth of our belovedness to and for one another, to and for the community and the communities all around us. We must hold the mission of the congregation close as our organizing principle, or the means by which we build belovedness among ourselves and the communities around us. Let's review our mission now. I'm gonna go ahead and share it with you. And then we'll go from there. Actually, I'm gonna stop. I'll just read it, okay? If you want to look at it, the easiest place for you to find it is the website. If you go to the About tab. So the mission itself, we, the members of the First Unitarian Church of Oakland, unite to build a beloved community within and beyond our walls. Guided by individual conscience and wisdom from many sources, we gather in worship and service to nourish the spirit, work for justice, and celebrate the divine in all. This is what we're talking about, this thing. It was adopted by the congregation on March 18th, 2001. And truly, truly, the sky is the limit for a congregation like you with a mission like this. Under policy-based governance, such as you have, the Board of Trustees holds the mission of the church. What does it mean to hold a mission? Spooky language. It means to think about it, to talk about it, to have meetings about it, to do things that make it work, to check on how it's doing, and make it part of conversations about what matters. And just a quick note, the term policy governance is copyrighted. So calling it policy-based governance is often used to be able to have a conversation without implicating the intellectual property of others without their consent or compensation. You know about that. This is why, if you care about the mission of the congregation, one of the key actions you can take to support its realness in the world is to support the Board of Trustees. The inverse is also true. If you don't care about the mission of the congregation, if it's not calling you to become your best self and practice belovedness with yourself and others, that's something we should really check in and talk about and figure out. But honestly, it's a really, as long as they were true and right and do them in the world and bring healing and bring hope. So please don't get stuck on a single word or a particular punctuation mark. Instead, think about the world you want to live in. As things continue to keep changing because of COVID-19, people will keep changing too. We want to do good changes. We want to keep becoming human. And there is some cost. Instead of not caring, you bring your attention and effort. Instead of giving in to fears of unspecified shape and size, you must, without delay, bring your courage. People will suppose that if there is less risk, they can take more chances. You must instead continue to wear a mask, even when it's an unpopular idea. Not all becoming is positive. As we try to engage a society that is fractured and becoming accustomed to unhealthy habits and relationships, consider what the latest Gen Z generation, people born between 1997 and 2015, are facing. Issues of dwindling privacy, including widespread facial recognition. The greater role this takes up in public life, the greater possibility there is for people's Fourth Amendment rights to be violated by the state. The integrity of the food supply. Imagine a world in which 100% plastic-free food is considered high-end. Undermining of professional career stability because of the gig economy. Similarly, fewer opportunities to develop mentoring and networking relationships, as well as fewer opportunities to develop niche skills and talents. Fewer meaningful relationships overall. The replacement of white-collar workers with artificial intelligence. Extreme weather, including droughts, floods, tsunamis, and fire conditions. While this is real news, and plenty of it is bad news, you are the good news. You are the community of care that can interrupt continued degradation of people by systems and economies that don't see them or know them. You can continue to build a world where truth and beauty matter, where being honest is an admirable quality. You become belovedness. You hold your mission, and then you use it to be love and justice, healing and hope to this community and to the communities beyond it. This is the sum of the movement we make in continuing our growth toward becoming human. Henri Nouwen framed the possibility of that belovedness and hope this way. Hope means to keep living amid desperation and to keep humming in darkness. Hoping is knowing that there is love. It is trust in tomorrow. It is falling asleep and waking again when the sun rises. In the midst of a gale at sea, it is to discover land. In the eye of another, it is to see that they understand you. As long as there is still hope, there will also be prayer. And God will be holding you in God's hands. May it be so. Let us see to it.
Good morning, everybody. I am happy to announce that I, as a member of the Board of Trustees, have decided to be the treasurer for the coming year. And I wanted to just spend a minute talking about why I decided to do that. And for me, it's because I believe in magic, and I believe that the money, you know, the part of the operations of the church that is on spreadsheets and numbers and a lot of people aren't comfortable with, that it's all just a part of the magic that we as human beings manage to do to turn our common goals and our values into reality in the world. Money is a social construct. It isn't a real thing in many ways, and yet we use it to do things and to make things happen. And that is really true for this church. And it's important that we make good use of the money, that the money that you give us gets used the way that you intend it to. And my job as treasurer is to be helping the board make sure that that really is true. And I'm really, really happy to do it. So your part of it is to help make the magic happen too. And that's all the different ways that you give. And giving is the foundation. It's the first part of making things happen in the world together and living out the vision that we have that this service is really all about. So there are many ways to give, and they are on the slide that's showing right now. You can give by mail, sending us a check in the mail. You can go to the link that's posted on the slide and give that way. You can give by text, and there's a phone number. And you can also give by app, by using the app Give Plus. So we try to make it as easy as possible. The money part is the part that many people are not terribly comfortable with, but it's just the basis for everything that we do. We take the money and use it. So I'd like to say the words that we say in thanking all of us together for the blessing of the money, in the spirit of understanding that we're all participating in the magic that money really is and allows us to do. To the work of the church, which is weaving a tapestry of love we call community, we dedicate ourselves, and these are offerings.
One love, one heart. Let's get together and feel alright. One love, one heart. Let's get together and feel alright. People get ready, there's a train a-coming. You don't need no ticket, you just get on board. All you need is faith to keep that diesel humming. You don't need no ticket, you just thank the Lord. One love, one heart. Let's get together and feel alright. One love, one heart. Let's get together and feel alright. People get ready, there's a train to Jordan, picking up passengers from coast to coast. All you need is faith, keep that diesel humming. You don't need no ticket, you just thank the Lord. One love, one heart. Let's get together and feel alright. One love, one heart. Let's get together and feel alright. People get ready, there's a train a-coming. You don't need no baggage, you just get on board. All you need is faith, keep the diesel humming. You don't need no ticket, you just thank the Lord. One love, one heart. Let's get together and feel alright. One love, one heart. Let's get together and feel alright.
What a wonderful song, Stefan. Thank you so much. That was really great. Oh. Go ahead, take an easy breath. Relax your neck. Join me in a moment of prayer. Let us go forth into the world in peace and dedicated to service. Let us hold fast to our own belovedness and that of others. Let us repay no one the evil they do. Let us strengthen the faint-hearted, support the weak, help those with need, and also people who are suffering. Let us honor all people as they are worthy and due our respect. And may a blessing of mutual care be upon us always. Amen. Thank you. Right after this is going to be the reopening update. And I'll see you next week. I hope you have a wonderful week.